3 in the morning, every single night, eyes wide open, heart thumping like somebody knocked on the door. At 104 years old, I started to wonder if my body was trying to tell me something I didn't want to hear. My name is Hazel Owens, born in 1920, raised outside Bowling Green, Kentucky. I have outlived 2 husbands, 1 world war, 3 dogs I loved more than most people, and about 10,000 nights of decent sleep. But those 10,000 good nights only came after I figured out why the bad ones kept waking me up. Stay with me now. I'm going to tell you what was really happening at 3 a.m. and what I finally did about it. It wasn't a pill, it wasn't some fancy trick, but it changed everything. About 2 years ago, when I was 102, something shifted. I'd been sleeping fine most of my life. Not perfect, Lord knows, but fine. Then out of nowhere, I started jolting awake at 3 in the morning. Not 3:15, not 2:40, 3, like my body set an alarm I never asked for. First few nights I blamed it on water, too much tea before bed, maybe the neighbor's dog, but it kept going. Night after night after night. I'd fall asleep around 9:30, rest for a few hours, then boom, eyes open, heart racing, and this awful heavy feeling in my chest like something terrible was coming, but I couldn't name it. Now, child, when you're 102 and your heart starts pounding in the dark, the first thought ain't a gentle one. You think, is this it? Is tonight when I go? And that thought alone will keep you staring at the ceiling till the sun comes up. I told my daughter. She said, "Mama, you're just getting old." I said, "Baby, I've been old for 30 years. This is something different." She was wrong, and I knew it, but it took me a while to prove it. Here's what nobody told me. When you wake at 3 a.m., not from noise, not from needing the bathroom, just your body jolting you awake, there's usually something going on with your blood sugar or your stress hormones. Now, I ain't no doctor, but my granddaughter's husband is a nurse, and he sat down with me and explained it plain. He said your body makes this chemical called cortisol, stress hormone. It's supposed to rise slow around 4 or 5 in the morning to help you wake up natural. But sometimes, especially when you're older or your blood sugar drops too low overnight, your body panics. It dumps all that cortisol out early, 3 a.m. early, and that's what hits you. Heart racing, wide awake, feeling like the world's about to end. I looked at him and said, "So my own body is scaring itself awake?" He nodded. "Pretty much, yes, ma'am." Now that made me mad. I survived the Depression. I survived losing Harold in '68. I survived a broken hip in '91. And here my own body is ambushing me in the middle of the night. Lord have mercy. I told Harold's picture on the nightstand, "Even you never kept me up this much, and you snored like a freight train." But knowing what was happening was only half the fight. I still had to fix it. First thing I tried was what everybody tries: warm milk, chamomile tea, melatonin drops from the drugstore. None of it worked right. The melatonin was the worst. I'd fall asleep quick, but wake up even earlier, around 2:30, groggy and confused. Turns out, at my age, your body already makes so little melatonin that adding more from outside can throw your whole rhythm sideways. So I stopped all of it. Then I tried leaving the television on overnight. Figured if I woke to voices, I wouldn't feel so alone. That was a mistake too. Even with the volume barely on, my brain was still listening. I was sleeping lighter than a cat on a screen porch. Every laugh track, every commercial jingle pulled me closer to the surface. My granddaughter said studies show background TV keeps your brain stuck in shallow sleep, never getting to the deep stages where your body actually heals. She said it's like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain wide open. I like that picture. That's exactly how it felt. So the TV went off. I also started keeping my bedroom cooler. I used to crank the heat up because old bones feel the cold something fierce. But it turns out your body actually needs to drop its temperature to fall into deep sleep. So I set the thermostat to 67 and kept an extra quilt folded at the foot of the bed. That helped some too. Now here's where things really changed, and I want you to listen close. I started paying attention to what I ate at night, not just what, but when. I'd gotten in the habit of eating supper at 4:30, 5 o'clock, like older folks do. But that meant by 3 a.m., my body had gone nearly 10 hours with nothing. And for someone my size, without much extra weight, that's too long. My blood sugar was dropping, and my body was slamming the alarm. So I started having a little something before bed, a spoonful of peanut butter, a few almonds, and half a banana, something with protein and fat to keep things steady through the night. I felt foolish at first, eating peanut butter at 9 o'clock like a child, but honey, it worked. Not the first night, not the second, but by the end of that first week, I was sleeping past 3, past 4, some mornings all the way to 5:30, and at my age, that's a miracle. But the snack was only part of it. The other part, the bigger part, if I'm being honest, was what was happening in my heart. See, I hadn't told anyone this, but during all those weeks of waking at 3, I wasn't just staring at the ceiling. I was thinking about Harold, about my sister Doris, who passed in 2019, about all the people who used to fill this house and don't anymore. 3 in the morning is a lonely hour, sugar. It's when the world gets so quiet you can hear your own grief bouncing off the walls. And I believe, this is just old Hazel talking, not science, that part of why my body kept waking me was because I had sadness I wasn't sitting with during the day. I stayed busy, puzzles, shows, whoever stopped by, but I wasn't letting myself feel what needed feeling. So my body forced the issue at 3 a.m. when there was nowhere left to hide. My pastor's wife once told me grief doesn't expire. It doesn't go bad like old milk. It just waits. And if you don't give it a chair at the table in the daytime, it'll climb through the window at night. That stuck with me for years. So I started something new. Every evening after my snack and before I turned off the light, I sat in Harold's old recliner and let myself feel whatever was there. Sometimes I cried. Sometimes I just remembered. Sometimes I talked to him out loud, told him about my day, said I missed him, told him the azaleas came back strong despite that rough winter. 5 minutes, 10, however long it needed, and something shifted. My body seemed to understand it didn't have to wake me anymore. The door was already open. The sadness had already walked through. So at 3 a.m., instead of jolting up in the dark, I just kept sleeping. Now listen, I still wake some nights. I'm 104. My bladder has its own schedule, and my knees know when rain is coming better than any weatherman. But that panicky, heart-pounding, dread-heavy 3 a.m. jolt, gone. Been gone over a year now. If I had to say it simple, my body needed fuel and my soul needed tending. Peanut butter fixed one. That quiet time in the recliner fixed the other. Nothing fancy about either one, but together they gave me back my nights. And at this age, sleep ain't just rest. It's how you stay in this world one more day. I used to think sleeping through the night was about being tired enough. It ain't. It's about being honest enough. Honest with your body about what it needs. Honest with your heart about what it's carrying. Take care of yourself tonight, hear me? And if you wake at 3, don't be scared. Just ask yourself what needs tending. The answer might be simpler than you think. Good night now. Sleep well, sugar.